Yeah, surely. So let's get going. So some of you are here because you know about Synthesia, and some of you are here because you're interested in learning a bit about AI. So, and maybe somehow you just clicked on a link and you're here on accident. That's okay too, because we're happy to have you. But if you're here now, we're going to talk a little bit about how AI is going to change the way you learn and work, and I think what we're excited about with AI. Obviously, we're an AI-enabled tool, so we're excited about the implications for that. But we also sense that there's a lot of even just talking with folks here at ATD at this conference, we're seeing that there is a lot of fear and uncertainty and maybe hype around AI, and people are trying to distinguish what's actually the case. So our mission for today. We're going to start off by covering a little bit about what does the research actually say about AI's impact on the U.S. workforce, as well as what is being reported out, as opposed to those ideas that are in our heads. Ellie's going to take us through exploring some of the tools that will aid the next generation of talent and trainers. And then finally, I'm going to do a little bit of a product demo for those of you who don't know Synthesia as well. But I have a script that I'm going to turn into a video, and let's hope it all goes down pretty well. So, how we're going to get there, how we're going to spend our time. Well, the first 10 minutes, I'm going to walk us through what you should actually care about with AI and what actually matters. Again, bringing in the research and the facts. Then we're going to pivot to talking a little bit about the tools and for learning and work that instructional designers use. And Ellie's going to take us through that. We have some Synthesia examples to show you. I'll be doing a little bit of a live build, and we'll end by telling you a little bit about what's next for Synthesia, because I think it's exciting that we're able to make training videos now, but we got a few fun things to share with you about the what's going to happen in maybe a few weeks, maybe what's going to happen in a few months, and then also longer term vision for Synthesia. Where's all this AI avatar and AI enabled video going? So with that, Ellie, is there anything that you wanted to add on?
No, I'm excited to chat with all of you. And again, just like, please feel free to chime in at any point in this process. We want this to be a conversation. We really want to be learning together with you. And we want to hear what you think about the stuff that we're talking about today, because we're all going through this together.
Sounds good. Let's get to it. So this is just a little bit of a fun fact. We like to tell you what's happening in our lives as well. So on our way here, coming from Copenhagen and going to San Diego, California, is about maybe a 16-hour journey. We saw this wonderful news from the BBC stopping through London on our layover. And, the headline is kind of one that has captured, I think, everybody's thoughts, which is, could AI take your job? And so I think this represents kind of what's on our minds and a lot of thoughts that people are having. But now it's interesting to see this debate kind of come live. And so I'm just curious. If we were in person, I'd ask you to raise your hands. But is this something that's on your mind? I don't know, Ellie. Do you think about this? If AI is going to take your job?
I mean, I think about a lot of the skills and abilities that I have that AI has already made much, much easier. I don't know if I'm afraid that it's going to take my job, but it definitely has taken some of my most tedious tasks. So, maybe this is the beginning of it taking my job, but as of right now, I'm mostly excited about how it's taking the most annoying parts of my job. So yeah, but I'm thinking about it for sure.
And I think that kind of captures kind of where we're at. I mean, working at an AI company, we're obviously excited by emerging technology, and I think if you don't take anything away from this conversation, the point that I'm going to try and prove is, and that I've heard, but well, as AI itself is not going to take your job. Maybe if you work in as a something that's using machines or something that can be automated, maybe we're not talking to that crowd, but we're mostly talking right now to you who in the crowd who are instructional designers, trainers, L&D folk. AI is not going to take your job, but what could happen is that somebody who's using AI-enabled tools will take your job. So let's explore that actual question. That's what I want to talk about for the next 5 minutes or so. Will AI actually take your job? And the way that there's a lot of different ways that we can go out about this, but where I want to start with is, why should you actually care about AI? And I've got 3 takeaways for you that I'm going to walk you through about, kind of wrap your head around what should we actually be understanding about, whether that's the threat of AI or the opportunity of AI. And so I've got 3 things to take you through. The first one is, without a doubt, AI will impact your work and the organizations you work for. I think what's important to mention here is that uh, eh, the impact is nothing new. You're already using AI if you use Google. Maybe you have HR technologies that help you evaluate job applications, complete simple tasks, writing contracts. Ooh, the audio is horrendous. I'll tell you what, let me switch to, how's this? Can you hear me a little bit better? All right. Gotta love live. Thank you, Clyde. Thank you for writing that. Uh, we're here listening to you, and we're just imagining you sitting right in front of us. So thank you for the feedback. Let me just back it up a little bit because I want to make sure you got this part. So the first thing I want to talk about is uh, that AI will impact your work and the organization. So again, that impact is nothing new. If you're worried about, how can I use AI for work? Well, you already are. If you Google things, if you use search algorithms for YouTube to serve your videos, it's used in your HR technologies for evaluating job applications, completing simple tasks, writing contracts, etc. But I think what's different about all of this is the addition of large language models. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically that's ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a large language model. The addition, though, of large language models into AI-enabled tools has made things very, very different. Meaning, what we have now is a way that everyone can use AI. Everyone can use AI-enabled tools, whether that's through conversational inputs or whether that's through typing something in. You no longer have to learn a coding language. So, we'll want to drop this into the chat real quick. This is an article from the Wall Street Journal that just came out this past week. How AI will change in the workplace. Where I'll slow it down, Dorna. Thank you. Uh, it's an article from the Wall Street Journal about how AI will change the workplace, and they surveyed 30 of the top thinkers and who are in the space, and they did a study of looking specifically at AI being able to automate people's jobs and what would the impact of AI on automating certain work tasks be. And so what they found is they went through all the different industries and they looked at what is the potential impact of automation, what work tasks can be automated with AI, and they found that over 300 million jobs would be affected, and that a quarter of current work tasks can be automated by AI in the U.S. And I think this is significant because there's a whole range of folks who are, I wouldn't say that their skills are on the chopping block, but what we found is, lawyers and those in administrative roles were cited at the most at risk, and that actually a lot of entry level tasks can be automated within the next 10 years, which I think is, I love that, we're seeing some folks are saying, I love change, and that's great. It's because you're probably thinking, oh, if I could automate those low level tasks, those administrative tasks, those entry level tasks, then I could do so much more with my actual human self, which I think is a fantastic way to look at it. Just a side note here is that this doesn't mean that entry level jobs will suddenly disappear, but you still need early stage employees to on ramp to start a company. So there's still going to be a career trajectory, but what we're going to be asking those folks to do will probably change. So yeah, I will spend time on better things. Agreed. The other article here, and this one shouldn't be behind the Wall Street Journal paywall, but this is looking more on the research side of things. It's one of my favorite papers so far. It's called GPTs Are GPTs, and look at the labor market impact potential of large language models. So this is looking less at AI automation and looking more at specifically large language models. So tools like ChatGPT and what would be their impact on different tasks and skills in the U.S. workforce. And this was a collaboration between OpenAI and some folks at University of Pennsylvania. They basically looked at all the different jobs, similar to that Wall Street Journal article, looked at the different skills, and then said which of these skills could be impacted by a conversational interface. And it focused less on what work tasks can we replace humans with using ChatGPT, but it looked at all work tasks equally. So those that could be enhanced by ChatGPT or large language models, as well as those that can be replaced. So when I show you these numbers on the next page, I want you to keep that in mind, that it's not, again, not enhancing the work necessarily or replacing the work, but kind of the lump sum and altogether, just what is the general impact. And what they found is that 80% of the US workforce could have up to 10% of their work tasks affected. And if we look at the other end of the spectrum, 19% of the workforce could have up to 50% of the tasks affected. And so, if you're wondering what are those jobs that are most affected, it's mostly those higher wage occupations. That's your knowledge workers who are going to have their work tasks affected by use of ChatGPT and large language models. So this is just to say, I know that Ellie, you and I, we already use ChatGPT every day, GPT-4 actually, to generate our scripts, to come up with ideas, to help us brainstorm topics. So it's already impacting our work, and we see that as well. And just keeping also something to give you a bit of context for these numbers as well is that these are just forecasts, and we're just trying to make sense of what the potential impact of large language models are. But there are many factors to consider, such as what policy factors come out. I know there's talking if you follow the U.S. government, we're looking to regulate generative AI and the impact of large language models. So that could have an impact, as well as societal factors. How do we as people and companies and groups of people feel about the use of large language models at work? And so that's just to caveat these numbers and kind of frame the ability to affect day-to-day work. But already the research is promising. We looked at the future impact of AI. Let's take a second and look at the past. And this is my second point I want to bring up, which is we've anthropomorphized technology before. And looking at that slide, that word anthropomorphize, that's a really long word. That's a lot of letters. So what does that actually mean? Well, when you anthropomorphize something, you put human characteristics onto something that is not alive. So in our case, uh, the reason I bring this up with AI in general is because when as movies as long ago as the Terminator, or when you look at your computer and it's being frustrating with you can have a kind of a human connection or human interaction with it. That's you anthropomorphizing technology, and this is something that we see all the time. And one of the reasons that ChatGPT felt like such a big deal back in the early months of the year is because it felt like you were having a conversation. Not only did you ask it a question, but you also got an answer, and it was not just an answer; it was a coherent response. But I think something to keep in mind here is if you're new to this tech, is that ChatGPT doesn't actually know what it is you're saying. It's just the result of data being collected, and it's anticipating the words that make the most sense depending on how it analyzed your question. And no, this is nothing new. So over here on the left, this is an American game show, Jeopardy, where they ask questions, and really smart people who know a lot of facts come on and they win money. And they took the two biggest winners, and Ellie, I was blank out on these names, but the most expert Jeopardy people, their names were
Ken Jennings and Brad Reuter, I want to say.
that sounds about right. I mean, we did this presentation 2 days ago, and I also forgot. So thank you for stepping in there for a second. But what this thing here in the middle, this is Watson, which was I think in the mid aughts, the mid 2000s, IBM had an AI where they fed it a lot of general knowledge, and they brought it on to compete with Ken and Brad, who are the two biggest winners at that point. As you can see, it's absolutely killing them. And if you look on the bottom right, this is a game I'm less familiar with called AlphaGo. And that gentleman there on the right is the AlphaGo champion. And it was a really big deal because, it's like having a chess master and that chess master being beat by a computer. The world went wild. But what's important to know is that although the AI did beat a human in a competition and some of the best the human race has to offer, the program doesn't actually know that it's winning or know that it had won. Because games are far less complex than human thinking and creativity. These AI are just trying to get to a win state. They're not really thinking or developing creative strategies. It's just a set of training data built up from playing a series of games against itself. So, what do I mean by that? When they set out an AI onto, let's say, a chessboard, they just tell the AI, here's how the pieces move, play us. Go ahead and play a game. And they play one game, making a random set of moves. And when there's a loss, it gets a -1. If there's a tie, it gets a 0. And if there's a win, it gets a +1. And if you feed the AI a million different games and a million different matches, eventually it's going to pick up what it needs to do when it sees a different arrangement of pieces on a board to know how to win. And so the metaphor that I think of is this is just like going into a maze and then just bouncing off every wall until you get to the end. And then if you keep bouncing off the walls, eventually you start to carve out a path and you get to a win. So these programs are really good at this single task, but they don't understand what they're doing. But we went wild over it. So sorry, just got something caught in my throat. And then also to take a step back even further, this is a paper written by Nass and Reeves. This is back in 1996. They did 35 separate studies with humans and computers where they wanted to see how human beings related to computers, and they found these different rules as a result of these studies. So in some of these cases, it would be a person working together with a computer to complete a task, or it'd be having a really basic conversation with. Um, Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. No, I'm not an AI. We're still going. Um, what they found is that three things. They found a lot of things, but they really found three major things. One is that humans apply social rules to technology. People tend to be polite to computers, feel flattered by them, or even reciprocate their favors. The second big thing is cooperation and team dynamics. So in their experiments, they found that humans could develop a sense of cooperation and team dynamics with computers. So people could feel like they were on a team with technology, with the technology that they were interacting with. And then the third is that word anthropomorphism. Human beings attribute human-like characteristics to technology. So if you worked with ChatGPT and you were to type something in and it gave you a wrong output, you might say, "Hey, ChatGPT, that answer is wrong." What is it going to reply back? "Hey, I apologize for that. Let me help you fix that problem." It's telling you sorry, but does it actually feel sorry for getting it wrong? Probably not. It's following its set line of programming. And so it's just it's this is just to say, since 1996, even with really basic technology, we have a long history of anthropomizing, making technology feel human. And then the last thing, that big takeaway, and I think this is something I'm thinking about here at the ATD conference, is that AI provides a big opportunity. It's an edge for the agent. So what do I mean by that? Currently, younger people or digital natives, millennials, we're just more flexible when it comes to using tech to solve our problems. And we use social media for work. We use Python, Google Analytics, different coding and programming languages, or even digital design platforms. I think it's a lot to ask for somebody who's been in the workforce with a lot of experience for 20 to 30 years. Imagine having to learn an entire new coding language just to keep their job. And there's a lot of things that the workforce has to offer us. They have expertise and experience with how to make the right decisions. What questions should we ask of data? So there's so much valuable there. AI-enabled tools take the complexity out of using new tech by using conversational interfaces and natural language processing to achieve the same task that someone might use, let's say, using data analytics and SQL. Rather than having to learn a new language, you can just type in what you need and get an output. So it's just really good things to keep in mind. AI removes that need to know coding languages. Instead, the person only needs to know what they're looking for. And so I have this last little pull-out quote, just a LinkedIn snippet that just was talking about, if you're going to replace graphic designers with AI, clients still need to know how to articulate that vision. They need to be able to accurately describe what they want. And ChatGPT is only as good as the questions you ask. And so, speaking of which, this is just my public service announcement. So, just last Thursday, OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, released an iOS app. I will track that down and drop that into the chat when we switch over speakers in just a second here. But this is your chance to use ChatGPT if you haven't already, to download it on your phone. And I know it's difficult to know where to actually get started if you don't have a task in mind. So here's just 5 things that you can do. Take a snapshot of this, a screenshot, but these are just 5 basic non-business critical ways that you can integrate ChatGPT into your data. One, you could use it to rewrite and reformat your training content. So if you have a slide deck or you have presentation notes, copy and paste those notes into ChatGPT and ask it to break it up into 5 bits of micro. Or perhaps you want to reformat a blog post into a video training script. These are things that you can do in just 15 seconds to get that first draft. Let's see. So next is finding examples and metaphors to explain complex content. I was having trouble explaining what it's like to train an AI with data sets, and I plugged that into ChatGPT, and it gave me a maze metaphor, which I think is something in training when we're teaching complex content. We want something that someone can kind of wrap their head easily around to understand a complex concept. So examples and metaphors are great with ChatGPT. Also generating ideas for learning activities on based on performance objectives. So put in that terminal performance objective that you're working on with your in-house facilitation and ask ChatGPT to generate 5 learning activities or 5 ideas that you can then choose ideas from, help it have you brainstorm and tweak those ideas. Fourth is draft an email. Tazim, I'd be happy to include those maybe in the follow-up. Tazim is asking for me to have examples for each. We'll be sure to include what those prompts will be in the follow-up. So thank you for that call out. And then the last one here before I pass it off to Ellie is that you want to, my favorite, which is plan out the next 3 tasks across the next 3 hours in 5-minute blocks. And ChatGPT will suggest that you take, a 10 to 15-minute break while you're trying to complete something. So it's quite creative and it's a much better project manager for me than I am for myself. And so those 3 takeaways, just to hit them all one more time. One, what actually matters about AI is that AI will impact your work. It's coming. It's your time to kind of mess around and experiment before somebody else does. Second is that we always anthropomorphize new tech. We always put human characteristics on new technology. We've been doing it since at least 1996. So I say don't buy into the hype, don't buy into Skynet and the Terminator. Think about what the research and the facts actually say about what the tech can actually do. So make an attempt to understand large language models and tools like ChatGPT or generative AI tools before you start thinking about, is this going to take my job or not? And then third and finally is an edge for the agent. I think we often ignore the older folks in the workforce, but they have a lot of valuable experience and scripts and schemas for how good business looks. And now we can take advantage of that by using conversational interfaces. So Ellie, can you tell us a little bit about uh, being a bit more tactical about what are the actual tools we're talking about here in this space?
So I'm really happy to talk about this, Kevin. So really, when we are talking about AI, ChatGPT has been taking up a lot of the space in the room, right? Like this is the big one that everybody has been playing with recently, but it goes so much further than that. And so what I want to do is kind of refocus this back to our bread and butter, our expertise, and talk about what this is like for people working in the L&D space. And so I am by trade an instructional designer, and that means that my job is basically based on a handful of specific things that I really think of as my expertise. And so when people outside the L&D space ask me, what does that mean? What does it mean to be an instructional designer? Usually what I tell them is that basically my job is to be a bridge builder. I build a bridge between what my learners currently know, what they understand, and what they need to understand and what they need to do to complete their job. So it sounds very idyllic. It's a beautiful little metaphor. I am a bridge builder. But what does that actually mean? What actually goes into that? And I think about it as leaning on 3 pillars, which is analysis, understanding my learners, where they are, what they know, what they don't know, what they need to know. That also comes from learning theory. So I understand, I apologize, we're having some of the same issues that Kevin was having. How did you take this letter? Okay, let's go ahead and see if, apologies team, this one? Okay. We're on the fly when we're live on the ground. Is that better? Great, fantastic. So fantastic that you can hear me a little bit better. But as an instructional designer, my bread and butter comes from that analysis piece. So being able to understand my learners, know where they are, kind of figure out what it is they need to know and how to get them there. Learning theory. So I have a really strong grasp on what it is that works best when it comes to delivering knowledge to individuals. So how do humans learn? How do adults learn? And then also I have a strong grasp of the modalities, right? So what are the different ways that we deliver learning to our people? How can I get in front of them? So is an in-person class the best way? Is online learning best? How do I format the information to fit into those different spaces? And so that's how I think of myself when I talk about being an instructional designer. But these skills are really good for planning or visualizing a bridge. But what about actually building the bridge? What is a learning bridge made out of? Well, it's made out of content. And so that means that I'm not only an instructional designer, I am also a content creator. I found a huge part of my job is actually producing content. And that means that I am also a UX designer, database manager, actor, analyst, facilitator, video producer, graphic designer, and occasionally a voice actor. I've spent a lot of time with a Yeti mic under a blanket performing voice acting in a pinch. During the pandemic, we had to do a lot of work, however we could find it. We had to engineer our content however we could make it. So I'm curious, I'm seeing the chat blow up right now, which is fantastic. I love that you all relate to this, that you have also at different times been the in the closet voice actor, the in the closet content creator. We've had to do this, right? And so these roles are, this is a whole separate role, it's a whole separate set of skills that we have to have. And it also comes with a whole set of tools that we need to use. And so um, I have a smattering here of tools that I have had to learn to use over my time as an instructional designer. And this is just some of them, right? Like this is just a couple of the things that I am consistently using. And it's been a lot of work on my part to upskill myself, to spend time on my own learning to be able to use these. And so this is not even touching the content authoring tools that I use, like Articulate, or the LMSs that I've had to master at all the different places that I've worked. This is just focused on that content creation piece here. These tools are all fantastic. I really do love them. And I'm proud that I've spent years getting good at them. And they're going to stay in my arsenal no matter what AI brings to me. But in order to use them, I've had to get pretty good at a lot of different things like video editing and even with the and graphic design, but even with like the basic ones like Canva and Camtasia, which are designed for people like me who are not graphic designers, are not video producers by trade. These are meant to be the easy ones. They still take a fair amount of understanding of digital literacy, of design, of pacing, of writing. And so it has forced me to become a designer in so many ways. And uh, you know, that's kind of what I'm getting at here is that I'm still a novice when it comes to using these. And so when I am using them, sometimes my content is maybe not as impactful as if I had given it to a graphic designer, or if I'd given it to a video editor, people that I don't necessarily have in my team. And that's our real issue here is that you may be pretty good with these tools, but if you're not applying these instructional design principles, if you're not spending time on the analysis, the learning theory, the choice of modality, then you're going to spend a lot of time making content that doesn't necessarily serve your learner. And so this is a big deal because I'm not afraid to admit that at different times I have chosen my access to a tool or my ability to use a tool over the best modality, the best way to make learning for my learner. And so I do that because it feels safer for me, easier for me as a content creator, even though the instructional designer in my heart knows that I've made a compromise here. I've made a choice. And so it's because of my own limited ability, my own lack of access to tools. And so what excites me most about AI is that I can continue to contribute to content creation. I can continue to be this content creator, but I can do it with the development skills that I currently have, like my own ability to build without necessarily compromising, the what it is that I'm delivering to my learners. And what I'm able to do with my admittedly limited knowledge is so much greater. What I'm able to produce is so much better looking. It's so much more impactful. It's so much faster. I'm not spending hours nudging a voiceover around, editing it, trying to get that perfect sound because I can use an AI tool that's going to make my audio better, that's going to generate audio for me. I can get closer to great much more quickly. And so yeah, ChatGPT is part of this. It goes beyond that though, and we are touching all parts of the content creation spectrum now with AI, which is just so exciting. And so I love this graphic here. If you're not actually familiar with her, I really recommend that you check out Dr. Phil. She made this fantastic graphic that is talking about all the different modalities available to us and what we're able to produce using all of these different tools. And so you'll see here, she has listed us in this. This is actually a few months old. She organically found us and listed us under video creation. But I'm just absolutely overjoyed by the peers that she's put us in here with, because it's not just video creation, which we'll get into, but image creation. We've got all these different ways that you can generate images instead of having to search through a stock image library and hope you find something, or put together, an icon using shapes in PowerPoint. Instead, now I can actually just ask AI to give me that. Same thing with text generation. We're talking about ChatGPT. There are additional ones that'll help you write prompts. If you need to do technical writing, there are AIs designed specifically for that. Audio creation, a lot of us, have, we're talking about being the voiceover actor in a closet. We now can use things like Well Said or other voice text to voice tools to narrate for us without all of the takes that we have to do, in our closets under a blanket. And then when we want to get a little bit fancier now, we can use things like Splash for making music creation or diagram generation. Instead of having to just rely on PowerPoint or even Excel to generate, infographics, we're able to get fantastic diagrams that really get at the heart of what it is we're trying to communicate using some of these tools. And so I absolutely love this. Kevin kind of mentioned this. I think about this as having a team behind me. I don't need a graphic designer necessarily. I don't need a video creator, because I have all of these AI tools that are going to be able to get me a lot closer to great more quickly. And so when we use generative AI tools like this, I can again function at my current skill level without compromising quality. So in my case, video creation was never a strength. And so you might think it's ironic that I work for a video creation company now, but that's what's so fantastic about Synthesia, is that it's been a game changer for me and my ability to create impactful video. And so let me tell you a little bit about what has changed, what Synthesia is and how it's kind of changed the game for video creation. So what we are is that we are a video creation system in your browser. So video increases engagement in your content. You get greater conversion, you get better information retention, but production is really costly, right? We're all talking about having to film or record things in our own homes or do things, as the instructional designer, why are we on camera? And that means that we have to have a camera, we have to have a studio. Sometimes we're the actor, we're spending huge amounts of our budget to hire actors. And then we have to get into post-production, whether it's Camtasia or you've got a whole team producing your video. It's going to take days to weeks to get that video from what was captured in camera out into the world. And so it's a long process to make video, but Synthesia makes it a lot easier for us. And so this is just a quick rundown of Synthesia. Kevin, do you want to do this real quick? Well, I was going to say, let's just.
Hey, I'm Alex, and
Let's pass over that, and
You're muted. Sorry, Kevin.
so I'm so sorry. Let's pass over it real quick because we'll just do the demo in a little bit. So maybe we can show some Synthesia examples already, and then I'll just talk through our, because I want to spend a lot of time on actually showing the people what they can see.
Fantastic. So let's just get right into it. And so actually tell you about it before Kevin shows you. This is actually something that I did. So I talked about how I have at different times had to make difficult choice of choosing the right modality, choosing the right thing for my learner, and choosing between my skill set. And so before I worked at Synthesia, I was tasked with making a customer service course that was about working in a call center. It's about having difficult conversations with customers. And really and truly, this was a difficult thing to teach because I'm trying to coach people on how to interact with a bad customer. And when I first was pitched this, I knew a video series where we can demonstrate this would probably be really impactful because we can act it out, we can get into that space, and we can really capture how difficult this process is. Well, that would have required me to hire actors, like perform these scripts, record it, and then send it out to my learners kind of where they were. And I just didn't have the budget for it. And I looked at my team and I was like, could we act this out? Would that be fun? And it just didn't feel like we had the chops for it. So what I did instead of what I had identified as the correct answer was I developed a PDF with those scripts. And then I asked my learners to leave the call center floor and come hang out with me for 3 hours. And we would do role play exercises of these angry conversations. And I don't know if you've ever been made to do role playing exercises in trainings, but frankly, I don't love them. They make me feel super uncomfortable because I'm yelling at my coworker, or I'm being yelled at by my coworker, or it's just weird. It's not the most delightful part of my day. It's not a fun way to learn. And the thing that's hard about this is that it only allowed me to capture what they what I'm currently like, what we were experiencing in that moment in the call center. And so if they left and went back to the call center floor a month later, we're having different conversations about what's happening. The information I was able to present to them wasn't great. And so this is what I went with. But when I joined Synthesia, I thought, let's go ahead and let's make what I wish I could have made. Let's make what I could have done. And so I'm just going to show you a real quick snippet here of what we made, which is the immersive branching scenario that I always wanted, where I'm testing my learner in real time on what it is that they need to know in a situation, and asking them to pretend to have this conversation with Joseph, who's a difficult customer. So can we go ahead and play this real quick snippet here? Sorry, team, we're not getting audio right now. 1 second. We're just gonna make sure we've got his it's very funny. I'm not sure why it doesn't have audio, but I'll narrate over it. Let's go ahead and just play it real quick. So this is Joseph. He's our customer in the call center, and he was made with the Synthesia avatar. He's meant to represent a customer who's having a hard time using the product that we were representing, which was a book creation product. Basically, he starts talking to you. He's very sweet, and he's telling you a story about his wife and how he's so excited to make a picture book for her and show her what it is that he's made from their vacation. He loves his wife very much, but he ends up kind of struggling and meandering in the conversation. So he tells our call center employee about his wife, and then asks a question about her personal life or their personal life. And so you're supposed to respond whether or not you have a partner, if you also have a great relationship in your life. And your options are basically to, indulge him or not. And so basically this is a branching scenario made in Articulate. And it seems like we're not going to be able to show it to you, and I apologize. We'll send it out afterwards, and I'll send you a link. Actually, it's on our examples page. We'll drop it in the chat so you can play through this. But basically, it allows the learner, instead of having to practice with their colleague in a room sometime, they're going to instead be able to practice with Joseph, a more lifelike version of the person they'd be talking to. And it's going to give them immediate feedback. So in the video, what happens is they keep indulging Joseph. He keeps telling them long stories. Now, suddenly my call center employee has been on this call for 30 minutes and has not resolved any of the customer's issues. That's not good. So what I can do is allow them to indulge themselves and fail in a safe place and get that feedback immediately, and then show them, here's the better path. Here's the better way to get there. So we're getting real life tactical skills out to my learners. And the thing that's most awesome about this is it's so easy to update these videos that I can change this. If we're having issues with people having long conversations, we give them this training. If I have problems with people who are having angry conversations with clients, people who are getting yelled at them and how to de-escalate them, I can make a new video. We can make Joseph a little madder. We can make him more frustrated. So I can adjust my learning so quickly for what it is my employees need in that moment. And so I'm not compromising. I'm not forcing them to come off the floor. We're meeting them where they need us, and we're giving them what they need when they need it. And so this was a huge change in how we could have delivered this. And I just wish we'd been able to do this when I was back in training these, because this is just a completely different experience that really addresses what it is that they need to know. And so with that, we're going to show you some more examples.
So the one that I'm going to walk us through here is, this is a case of, on your internet, or, one of the tools that's available to you maybe is blog post, and you have a short form text post. Well, with this is the Synthesia video that I'm going to build is here on the right. We have another short form video. So you're able to take blog posts, and maybe you're looking for something that's more engaging than text, a little bit of video, something that can be understood. And you can create something with Synthesia that looks like this. You know what it is? Just a second. I will play this for you. I'll find a new one because it seems like our deck is not being our friend right now. I'm going to look for a way to show this to you here. So I'm going to play this video for you. This is already in the Synthesia platform, but it'll give you a sense of what I'm about to build.
Anyone can learn the art of giving and receiving feedback, but that doesn't mean it's easy or comes naturally to any of us. However, with a little time and commitment, You can change this mindset and use feedback as a positive tool to improve your performance and create a cycle of continuous development. Hi, I'm Isabella Garcia, your learning expert and your guide for the next few lessons. In this course, you will learn how feedback can help you unlock your full potential, how to change a growth mindset with feedback, how to receive feedback, and finally how to give feedback. I'll be here to help you along the way with reflection exercises and key concepts, and keep you on track throughout this next week. Let's get started.
Fantastic. So I see some comments in there that the voice and the mouth movement don't look like they're aligned. This is just what happens when we show video over Zoom or if we're streaming it. There's just a bit of delay. I'll be sure to include the video that I created for this, along with the deck and the recording of this presentation, so that you can go back and see for yourself what that's like. So just a couple of things to call out here is that this is Isabella, our AI avatar, or Leah, our AI avatar. She is, excuse me, based off of a real person, but this is an AI model of her. Um, the voiceover in this case is her script. That's her AI voice, and this I'll show you a little bit about how I built this. So here we go. We have some folks who are in the chat who are saying, I can't wait to create my AI avatar. And yes, I can't wait for you to create your AI avatar too. So, what goes into creating something like this? I think I'm just going to start from scratch, actually. So, what we're doing is I'm going to take you through the platform and we're going to build this video from scratch. So, some things that I have here kind of on the back end is that I have this. I have a little bit of a storyboard and script. I have kind of what I want to say in my video. So that's the part, just a little peek behind the scenes. I'm not going to make up a script on the spot. Although, when you create a new video using Synthesia, as you can see here, you can generate the script using ChatGPT. I'm just looking to see if it's appearing on the screen. Great. You can. So we have a ChatGPT integration where you can have ChatGPT integrate your script. You can start blank, or you can use a template. Or if you're really in a bind, I don't suggest it. Ellie was talking about, am I using the right modality for the learning experience I'm trying to create? Importing a PowerPoint presentation, you can do it, but I wouldn't suggest you do it. Go ahead and make that video from scratch. So I'm going to show you how quickly you can do that. Not a visual designer, as Ellie had that wonderful instructional designer map around of all the things you have to do. One of those things is you have to be a graphic designer. Well, let us take the burden off of you because we have templates that you can use. Yeah, sorry. And just for those folks who aren't in the chat, I can see that some of people are writing internally to us that they didn't realize that ChatGPT was a feature we have now. And yes, we're really focused on making this easy for you. So our goal is to have all the things that you would need: your screen recorder, your video, your audio, everything should be all in one tool. And even better, it's going to be in your browser. So right now I'm using Chrome. So if my MacBook were to fall in the sand on the beach here in San Diego, I'd be able to pick up Ellie's laptop and all of my projects would be there. So that's just a little fun fact. But as you can see here, this is a layout that probably looks similar to PowerPoint or Google Slides, meaning you have kind of this canvas area where we have our avatar Emery here, who I can size and resize. I can also make Emery just moving a few Zoom things around, apologies. I can also make him a circle. I can also, if you don't, in a lot of cases, maybe for screen recording, you just want the voiceover. So this is just me showing you that you can do that. And kind of the workflow that I use here when I build things like this is that I start by putting in all the scenes that I'm going to need. So let's say we start off with that title slide. Next, in my video, I showed some stock footage, so I'm going to drop that scene in there. Then we cut back to the avatar introducing themselves. Then we talk about what's going to be in the video. And then finally, we ended with our avatar friend saying, let's get started. So now I have all the different layouts. Now I want to pick the avatar that's best for my audience. Let's say in this case, Emery is not the best fit. We want somebody, I want to have, let's say, a female avatar, depending on the audience, and maybe they are a suit wearing workplace and culture. So I'm just going to replace the avatar here with my friend Leah. I'm going to change that all of them. I could also choose a voice for her. So we have a lot of accents and different languages. We have over 150 languages, depending on what you need. But I can choose what type of tone and delivery and accent I would like her to have. Once I've chosen that, it makes the change everywhere. And really, I have two more steps here. I need to maybe change this text that's on screen here. So I might change this to the art of giving. And it's really painful to type live in front of an audience, but we're doing our best and receiving feedback. Just going to change that here. We'll do new, higher. So as you can see, it's really easy to change things on screen. If you have brand guidelines, I can just simply, if I know the hex code, I can add that, or I can just, I like to use the color match tool to give avatars a nice background. And just moving around all my Zoom windows. There we go. So as you can see, I'm making these changes. It looks professional almost right out of the box. One of the last things I need to do now is I need to add my script. So I'm going to copy and paste in my script into each slide, and I'll be able to send not only this video but also the script that I have. So if you watch the recording, you should be able to follow along and build what I'm building here. So there's that. So I'm just going to quickly copy and paste each section in. Isabella's going to introduce herself. We get to this menu. And I know that some of you are probably saying, what are these markers? What are these flags that are in here? Don't you worry, I'll cover that in just a second. I just want to finish dropping in all of the script. So once we've done that, we have a few more things to change or add. So for instance, here we have this nice menu where when things are mentioned in the script, that's when they faded in on screen. And so if you are a video creator, you're familiar with this, this is where things get exciting because you no longer have to sit there with your stopwatch and time or visually match things up, but rather you can time things based on the script. So I'm just going to quickly mock this up for you. So in my script, it says, in this course, you'll learn how feedback can help you. And it says here, unlock your potential. We also said develop a growth mindset. And growth mindset. Let's just change this one quickly to receive feedback, and the last one was give feedback. This is where things get super exciting, and we have a whole YouTube video on this explaining animation markers. So if I don't do it justice now, we'll be sure to send you the resources after. But basically, rather than me having to use a timeline to match things up, I can just look at this and say, okay, when it gets to that part of the text, I'm dropping a flag there. And I'll do that for each of these things that I want to show up here. So how feedback can help unlock your full potential, develop a growth mindset here in the script, and how to receive feedback and how to give feedback. So what I'm going to do here is now that I have these flags in my script, I want to click on the object that I want to animate. The animation panel is going to pop up, or it's just going to be down here. And I'm going to say, I want you to fade in on that flag. And I'm just going to do that for each of them. And the reason I'm spending time on this is so that you can all see just how much time this is going to save you. I don't know about you, Ellie, but did you have a strategy? Mine was I would have a stopwatch and I'd kind of play it back and try to visually match it up. Did you have a strategy?
I was very much the hit play, try again, hit play, try again, hit play. I was not patient enough for a stopwatch. So yeah, I did it the hardest possible way for so long.
Back in my old workplace, we used to call it the guess and check. So what's nice is, so I'm going to preview this for you so you can see how the animation markers work. But just keep in mind that the avatar's lips are not going to move and the avatar's not going to move until you click the generate video button. So this is just previewing. So just keep that in mind.
In this course, you will learn how feedback can help you unlock your full potential, how to develop a growth
So
mindset
without
with
playing it too much, you can already see how it's quite easy to just build this from scratch, animate things in real time. And if I'm done, once I'm done here, what I do next is I click generate video. And next, I can choose to include captions or not. So here's another way we're saving you time is that the SRT file is based off of the text that you put in. And so you can choose to have them burned into your video or to not to include it separately. And you can always download that in another place. Really quickly though, Ellie, there was a problem. I got to tell you, there was a problem. We had a problem at the workplace. Isabella, unfortunately, it doesn't work out with her, and I think the company wanted to go into another direction. So I really wanted to show you this quickly. That is not going to be a problem hiring a new actor. In some cases, you got to go with what you know. I'm going to go with myself. So I turned myself into an AI avatar. This is a fairly easy process. But what I can do is I can change the avatar. It detects my voice, and I can do that for each of these people. And I'm just going to change Isabella Garcia to Kevin Alster because we're unfortunately we had to part ways. So I'm going to click generate video, and now my video is going to be updated. But just for kicks, I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here we go.
Tout le monde peut apprendre l'art de donner et de recevoir un
Oh,
feedback.
apologies. That's my French video. Let me just play this one. Apologies. Sometimes when you're live, funny things happen.
Anyone can
All right,
learn the art
this is the one that I wanted to show you. I gave away my trick. Sometimes the best laid you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. So this is the second video I want to show you is my avatar speaking. So here you go.
of giving and receiving feedback, but that doesn't mean it's easy or comes naturally to any of us. However, with a little time and commitment, you can change this mindset and use feedback as a positive tool to improve your performance and create a cycle of continuous development. Hi, I'm Kevin Alster, your learning expert and your guide for the next few lessons.
You definitely get the point. I want to show you just one more thing and I already kind of gave it away, but if you have someone to translate the script, in our case, our wonderful colleague Audrey was nice enough to translate the script into French for me. All I did was copy and paste it in, hit generate video, and it gave me this.
Tout le monde peut apprendre l'art de donner et de recevoir un feedback.
You can change this mindset and use feedback as a positive tool to improve your
Good
performance.
grief. It's given me the business today, and that's okay. I have another copy.
Tout le monde peut apprendre l'art de donner et de recevoir un feedback. Mais cela ne signifie pas que c'est facile ou que ça vient naturellement à chacun d'entre nous. Pourtant, avec un peu de temps et d'engagement, vous pouvez changer cette mentalité. Utilisez le feedback comme un outil positif pour améliorer vos performances et créer un cycle de développement continu. Je suis Kevin Alster, coach exécutif et expert en apprentissage.
I'll be here to help you along the way with
All
reflection.
right. So that's essentially the tool in a nutshell. I'm very aware of time, and I'll just keep the platform open for now. But so in case you have any questions about that, but Ellie, let's switch over into the Q&A. Have you